I know some of you have already heard some of this, but I'm going to review a little bit of last week because it totally ties in with this week. And we're going to be building up for a pose today, Siddhasana. We built up to that pose last week, but we're going to do a different practice to lead into it today. Siddhasana is named after Prince Siddhartha. Prince Siddhartha became the Buddha. So he was a prince, born amongst riches in a very affluent family behind the palace walls, and was very protected. And eventually, as he got older, he went out amongst the village people and discovered sickness and death and disease and, you know, all the different ways where he saw a lot of disparity, and he became emotionally distraught because of that. He decided he was going to leave the riches behind, and when he left the riches behind, he decided to take part in spiritual discipline and practices. And at the age of 35, he sat underneath the Bodhi tree for 40 days and became enlightened. So Buddha means the enlightened or the awakened one. You may have heard me talk about this in the past, but just as Jesus went away from the multitude and meditated for a number of days and was tempted, the same thing happened to the Buddha. So Buddha actually came after yoga. Yoga actually predates the Buddha. And Buddhism, if you look at their philosophy, is very similar. It's not the exact as yoga, but there is a lot of similar things that they adopted from yoga. But anyway, over the weekend, and I brought that up last week because we had an eclipse and the full moon was in Scorpio. And I had talked about that on Monday. A Vedic astrologer had shared that the Buddha became enlightened with the full moon in Scorpio. But it's not just full moon in Scorpio, because that happens once a year. It's not just that. It's where the degrees are. It's where the placement is. It's very specific. And this particular one was a very specific star alignment. And I'm going to have to read it. Vishaka Nakshatra. And it means the Vedic star of purpose. So that full moon in Scorpio was it with that particular star, which is the Vedic star of purpose for the Buddha. Buddha was serving his purpose. He was living his dharma. That was his purpose. And so that actually happened last week as well. So hopefully that eclipse helped to highlight something to help you become enlightened about something in your own psyche or something happening in your own life. Despite all that, over the weekend, I decided I would look at this book called the Hatha Yoga Pradapika. Now, the Yoga Sutras predates that book by 1,000 or more years. The Hatha Yoga Pradapika came about much later, and it only has like 30 poses in it. And it talks about more about pranayama and asanas. And you know, the way I teach yoga as Raja Yoga, the royal yoga. So I bring in the philosophy, the intellectual part. I bring in the service part, I bring in the devotional part, I bring in the exercise part. So I bring in all of this. That's what Raja Yoga is. The Hatha Yoga Pradapika is strictly about Hatha Yoga. So it doesn't have all of the philosophy in it. It's more or less the practice. So in Hatha Yoga, underneath that umbrella, asanas are number 1. In Raja Yoga, asanas are number 3. Because you got the yamas and the niyamas. You got the philosophy coming first, then the asana. But anyway, in this book, Hatha Yoga Pradapika, I knew it had a lot of sitting poses in there, and I was curious. So over the weekend, I was like, let's see if Siddhasana is in here. And I got out the book, flipped to the sitting postures, and it was in there, but it was under a different name. And names do change, right? Things evolve over time. It started off being called Swastikasana, named after the swastika. Not the swastika that we refer to, right? It's not the same. Okay, so I want to just bring that up today because I thought it was interesting. Because it reminded me of when I was in India in the late 90s, 97 and 98 is when I was traveling to India before I got into yoga. And I was at a temple. And I was standing outside the temple and I saw the swastika painted on the corners of the temple. And luckily, I can't remember if it was me or someone in my group because it was like a tourist thing. And we asked, like, why is there a swastika in the temple? And they smiled and explained that this is the original swastika. The original swastika actually means good luck and prosperity and abundance and creativity, divinity, and fertility. It meant something really good and pure in its original state, and it was all across the East. It's very prevalent in India. Evidently, they use it in China. I didn't know that. In Buddhism, they use the symbol representing the footprints of Buddha. But in some cultures in the East, it represents the sun. And it was Hitler or whoever, his team, decided to take that symbol and they turned it. They turned it like a certain way, or like diagonally, and then they made that their kind of symbol, right? So they corrupted it and distorted it. So it makes sense that now we call it Siddhasana versus swastikasana because it has that negative connotation to it, right? But it actually means the auspicious pose. So we're going to be leading up to that pose today, even though we're not going to do the same kind of practice. Now, last week, when we started off the practice, because it does require some, open ankles, knees, hips, we used a bolster for a back bend and then created the foot placement. We're actually going to do it flat on our back. It looks like this, where your left foot comes in first and your right foot in front of that. And then we're going to lower down to our back, and the hands really can be on or off the body. And your hips will be talking back to you a little bit here. So if they're talking back to you too much, you know that you have blocks available and you can make it more restorative so it's not taking all of your attention away. So go ahead and set up in that first position, please. On your back with your left foot gliding in towards your pubic bone, and then your right foot in front of that. You may feel tempted to cross the ankles up underneath the shins, but try to avoid that if possible. That's a different pose. And if your body is just super resistant to this for whatever reason, you can do something else. So I don't want you to force it. Now that you're in it, see if you can relax into it. See if you can breathe into it. Allow the breath to make you really present in this moment, at this time, in this place, within yourself. And just activate some pranayama. Maybe diaphragmatic breath is your go-to breath. It can be calming and relaxing. On your next inhale, let's go ahead and slide the legs out in front of us. Lift the legs up towards the ceiling, hiking them up, pointing on the inhale and flexing on the exhale. So pointing the toes to the ceiling as you breathe in and jutting the heels up as you breathe out. Now take your hands to the lower portion of your belly, flex your feet, grip in your core, and slowly lower the heels back down. And then separate your feet, slide them wide. Now draw the right heel in towards the pubic bone first, and then let your left foot be stacked in front of it. So basically you're crisscrossing the feet the opposite way as you did before. Remember that particular alignment of the full moon in Scorpio means emotional transformation. And we have this iliopsoas muscle that wraps around the hip, moves into the growing area, and it moves through the abdominal region and attaches to the lumbar area of your back. And this is one of the muscles in the body that's really tied up with our emotions. Which is why sometimes when you hear hip openers are often tear jerkers. sometimes the tears just form in the eyes and start to flow, and we don't even really know why. It's just a release. Stay with your breath. Look at your breath as a way to move some of this tension out. Move some of this emotional debris out. And on your next inhale, let's go ahead and stretch the legs out in front of us. Point your toes, pike the legs back up towards the ceiling, and start to rotate your ankles. Several times one way, then the other. And this time, after doing the rotations, you're going to hug your knees in towards your upper body. Giving yourself a nice, big, warm, loving hug. Staying grounded on the low back. And then when you're ready, gently turn over to your right side body. We're going to need our blanket for this next little sequence. So I would suggest extra padding for your knees. Because we're going to get in standing Vajrasana. Where we're actually standing on the knees and shins. Is this going to be fun for you, Debbie? If you need, yeah, try it. Yeah. And if not, we'll figure something else out. Yeah. Our right leg is going to extend first. And then we're just going to spin the foot so it's facing away from the body. And then we're going to lunge into the knee. And then we're going to inhale, lift the arms up. So it's almost like a kneeling form of warrior 2. On your next in-breath, straighten that leg. And as you exhale, come into a side bend. This is called Parigasana gate pose. I like to think of it as opening up the gate of the heart. Affirming here as you hold, waves of joy are surging upward in my spine. Inhale, come back up. Keep the arms extended out, shoulder height. Re-lunge into that right knee, like warrior 2, but then stack the elbow onto the leg and then reach that free hand up. Now you have the option to stay here. This is the more gentle variation, or you can prop the hand down to the floor. And even though I can do that, it's not feeling great, so I'm coming back up. If it feels good to you, stay in it. Good. On your next inhale, let's slowly straighten out that leg again. Lift that right arm, drop down to your left palm, and see if you can fly up through the right foot. Okay, go ahead and settle that foot back to the floor, and you're gonna arch up to your side ribs and hang that top arm overhead. You can turn your face any direction, what feels good to your neck. Let's take 3 more big breaths. And bring that right hand up. We're gonna walk, scoot or slide. That right heel to reside just to the inside of your standing thigh. Take your hands to your hips, because one may be hiking up more than the other. See if you can even it out with that sensation of touch, checking in with your hips. This is a kneeling form of tree. Now that you've done that informational touch, bring the arms up overhead, palms together over your crown. Zip up to your midriff, so you're creating like a little hollow area here in the upper part of the belly. And affirm, I am calm, poised. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, spray the arms down, and then gently lower that knee. All right, we're gonna send the left leg out. Spin the foot to look away. Lift the arms up on the inhale, lunge the knee on the exhale. So anything that's going to open up the inner thighs, the hips, that's going to lunge the knee is going to be nice work to lead us into Siddhasana. Straighten out the leg, lean over. You just don't want the hand on the knee. It can be at the hip, thigh, shin. Paragasana gate. Inhale, draw back up. Exhale, re-lunge that knee like warrior 2. Now coming into like a modified side angle, propping the elbow to the knee, or setting the hand lower to the floor. Breathe into that growing area. Inhale, come back up. All right, we're gonna lower the right hand and uplift the left foot and flex it. Balancing and strengthening the hip for a couple rounds of breath before descending the foot down, arching up through the side ribs, and allowing the top arm to do that C curve overhead. Really open up the breath here. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, you're hopping or sliding the foot over towards the inner thigh. The ball of the foot is going to help to maintain your balance here. Hands to the hips can structure where you are in your pelvis, lifting out of it through the vertebrae. And even bringing the arms up will help to lengthen your spine, palms together over the crown. I almost think kneeling tree is harder than standing tree. This is supposed to be easier, but I don't know. Lift the arms up and exhale, release the hands down. Okay, we're gonna come back down onto our back for a moment because Shelley mentioned that she had started taking up golf and she's having some, is it sciatica? Sciatica a little bit. So the poses that are really good for that are like, well, let's just do it. Let's cross the left ankle over the right knee. Pick up the right foot and lace your hands behind your right thigh. Now, it could be that this is too much and it may be increasing that sensation. If it's not, you can stay here. How does it feel for you?
It's on this side, so when
you go to the other side. Okay, so this side's good. Okay, you're golden. So something that Denny does and something that I appreciate is, you know, we don't always have to hug in, right? Even just crossing the ankle can be enough some days. So it's okay if the right foot needs to stay on the floor. Sometimes I even stack a block or a bolster underneath the foot instead of hugging it in this way. This even shows up in the Magic 4 sequence that I bring to you guys sometimes. And we're doing it in a much more relaxed manner in that version of the pose. So pick your own version, what feels good to you. You want to stay flat on your low back. This is also a great stretch for the piriformis. Gently release. Once you lower the right foot, drop the left foot, cross your right ankle over. And again, this may be where you need to stay. You may want to step your left foot on top of a block or bolster, or you may be able to pick it up and hug it in with your arms. How is this side? It's okay. It's okay.
Try to find it like where is it? Start there, but yeah, it feels good.
So really all of the posturing, all of the asanas are really helpful in helping to detoxify the body, helping to dispel stress and worry, helping to break up tension, density that's been forming from chronic stress being held. In essence, it's creating inner freedom and invoking a sense of inner peace. That inner freedom and inner peace is not just what yoga helps to maintain the body, but what meditation helps to provide for the mind. All right, now gently release. We're going to lower the right foot down. You may need blocks for stacking up underneath the knees because we're going to fan the knees open and apart now. And that reclined butterfly position. Bring your arms into the goddess arms or winged arms. If you don't know what that is, think of a goalpost. Notice how playing the arms out this way opens up the cavity of the chest. Notice when you fan the knees out this way, it lifts the low back. So you can feel the natural curves coming in to play with this supine position. Ride the wave of the breath up into the heart. Equally ride the breath all the way down to the hips. Take 3 more breaths. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and lift your knees. Hug both knees in together, like we did earlier in asanas. Affirming here, I release my scattered forces to rise up and away into the sky. Now roll to the right side again. Push down into your left hand to come up. As you come up, we're going to take Hatha. So the right leg's going to extend, and the left heel is going to draw in towards the pubic bone. Very similar to setting up for Siddhasana. But we're going to flex his foot so the toes are lifted and splayed, and we're going to also lift the sternum up. As you exhale, walk the hands out in front of you and start to gently lower. Set the side. Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't go with, yeah, just sit up. Yeah, yeah. You're doing the right thing, go back and off. So half a wide angle pose. Connecting to where you're feeling the stretch. It's prominent for me more in my inner thigh and growing area, but it could be popping up for you somewhere else. Affirming here as you hold, I will accept everything that comes my way as an opportunity for further growth. Inhale, slowly start to back away. Lean back. Stretch out through the left leg, then the right knee. And then inhale, lift through your side waist, lift up through the sternum. Toes extended down the center of that heel as you fold. Planting down to the back of your thigh bone. So there's this common expression, I know you've heard it, but I think it goes along with this affirmation. Instead of asking yourself, why is this happening to me? Ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? What do I need to learn from this? Instead of being in that victim mentality. I think all of us can drop into that victim mentality sometimes.
God hates me. That's what my mother used to say.
She used to say that? Oh my God.
God hates me. Talk about positive.
Right? You know what my child used to say? My child used to say when he was younger, we'd play games. If I was on a streak of winning, or if he was on a streak of winning, he'd say, if we were playing like sorry, the sorry God is favoring me today. Or sorry gods are favoring me today. Or the Uno gods. I will accept everything that comes my way as an opportunity for further growth. Instead of why is this happening to me? What is this trying to teach me? What can I learn from this? And then slowly, gently come up. All right, we're going to get up to stand. So go ahead and come up. Stand at the top of your mat. We're going to do a little bit of a flow here. So just rock back and forth on the soles of the feet. And then line up your legs properly. Gaze your core. Stand tall. Arms beside you. Then I haven't said this in a really long time. But how often do you stand in Siddhasana when you're not on the mat? Can you practice when you're standing in line at the grocery store? You practice this when you're fueling your car. There's many moments where we can practice just the simple pose. Hands to prayer position. Inhale. Let's sweep the arms to the sides and up. And as we exhale, let's swan dive forward and down to Uttanasana. From Uttanasana, just wiggle out the shoulders, a little gentle nod to the head, just to relax the upper body. Gravitate the heart a little bit lower in the direction of the knees. There's a main meridian at the back of the body that travels from the feet up to the back of the legs. It crosses at the sacrum, travels up alongside the vertebrae, and moves to the head. We're helping to open that highway up. On your next in-breath, slide your hands up to your shins, lengthen out through the spine, look out with your eyes. And then exhale, drop right back. On your next in-breath, you're going to step your left foot back. When you step your left foot back, you're going to spill down to the back knee, but keep the back toes curled. You can have your hands set to blocks, but we're going to lift the head and the heart up. Take your time, yes, and if you need extra padding, add it in. Now untuck the back toes, apply more pressure into the front foot, draw up through the pelvic floor. Line up your spine over your pelvis, line up the arms alongside your face, coming into Anjaneyasana. Have your chin parallel to the earth, fixate your eyes on one thing, one place in front of you. And then as you exhale, bring the hands back down to the blocks. When you're ready, bring the right knee back to table. Move the blocks to the sides. Have your hands set shoulder distance apart, but you're going to tip your shoulders past your wrists, and your elbows are going to squeeze in, and you're going to drip down towards the floor. But then as you inhale, you're going to push up. And as you exhale, you're going to go into downward facing dog. All right, inhale, you're coming to plank. Exhale to knees, shoulders cross past the wrist to dip down like you're kissing the ground. Inhale, push up to table. Exhale, downward facing dog. We're gonna do that one more round. This is our little vinyasa. Inhale to plank. Exhale to knees, chest, chin. All right, now untuck the toes, come down to the belly. Bring the forearms out in front of you and take Sphinx. Lengthen your leg bones back. You're tightening your glutes to push down into the pubic bone. So there is a tucking here. And you're retracting the navel away from the ground, pulling it in towards the spine, elongating your neck, and then finding that comfortable angle for your neck. And sometimes looking straight forward isn't always great. You may have to slightly angle it down. Find what works for you today. Breathe. Make sure you can feel your back muscles firing up and engaging, contracting, strengthening. Your next exhale, you're going to slide your hands up underneath the shoulders. You're going to come down to the brow. And your hands are going to continue to slide back, palms face down beside your thighs. Stay on your brow, stay on your palms, but now inhale, lift both feet, both chins, both knees, and maybe a portion of your thighs. Keep breathing. And exhale, lower the feet. Slide your hands back up underneath your shoulders. Roll the shoulders back. Come to a low baby cobra. And float your hands. So your shoulders are pulling back from your ears. You're resting on the diaphragm muscle. It makes it a little harder to breathe. Let that be part of your discipline. All right, bring the hands down. Push up to table. Glide the hips back into your extended child's pose. Elbows are lifted away from the ground. Shoulders are rolling away from the ears. So that you can broaden the upper back. We're not trying to cinch the shoulders together. We're trying to widen that space. And that requires that rotation of the upper arms. All right, inhale, rock up to hands and knees. Curl the toes, launch into downward facing dog. From Adho Mukha Svanasana, look at your feet first. Make sure there's just a few inches between the big toes. And when you're ready, lift your right leg just halfway, just halfway. Push into your hands more. And feel as though someone's drawing your right foot back. All right, when you're ready, you're gonna look forward and you're gonna step the right foot through. It does not have to come all the way between your hands, by the way. Feel free to bring the blocks into assist because you're gonna turn and plant the back foot and flip the hands to come up. We're gonna move into triangle pose. Triangle pose is another great pose for sciatica, by the way. Thanks. And then lift your arms up. Lengthen out over the right leg. And then windmill the right hand down, left arm up. Triangle pose. Stabilize by rooting your feet, lifting through your knees, contracting your core. Finding a steady, even breath. Now look down, lunge the right knee, spin off your back heel, and come into this lunge. And we're just gonna pulse up as the in-breath draws in, and we're gonna sink low as the breath escapes. Just a couple pulses up and down. Good, then lower the back knee. Good, once you lower the back knee, lift your head and your heart. Untuck the back toes, press into the right foot, draw up to the pelvic floor. You're returning again into Anjaneyasana. Good from here. Exhale, bring the hands down, curl the back toes under. Maybe that will help to step forward and flow down into your Uttanasana. Letting the head go. Inhale, root down to come all the way up. And then we're gonna go right back in. So exhale, hold again. Pause in here, your Uttanasana, maybe feeling a little bit looser in this pose since we've been here before. All right, this time we're gonna inhale, step the right foot back. We're gonna slowly sink to the back knee. Lift the head up. We're dropping through the hips at this point. Working into the back thigh as well. Then untuck the back toes. Inhale, push down heavily through the left foot. Slowly come to higher ground on Anjaneyasana. Looking straight ahead with your eyes, softening the shoulders away from the ears. Good. Exhale, bring the hands back down to the blocks. We're coming into table. So that left foot's gonna slide back. Once you lower the left knee, send the blocks away, come back down to the palms of your hands. When you're ready, curl the toes, launch into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward, plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin, Ashtanga Pranam. Inhale, push up. Exhale, downward facing dog. We're doing that twice more. This is more of our vinyasa today. Inhale, plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, lift off. Exhale, sail back with your hips. Last one. Inhale, plank. Exhale, Ashtanga Pranam. Now we're going to drop onto the belly, untuck the toes, slide the forearms out, and take space. Elbows line up underneath the head of the shoulder bones, legs lengthen back, glutes get a little firmer. Finding that proper angle for your neck. Stay more concentrated. Come home to your breath. So now slide down to the brow, hands slide back alongside the legs. When you're ready, inhale, pick up both feet, both legs. Siddhasana. Lower the feet. Hands come back underneath your shoulders. We're lifting to a baby cobra. Body heat is like rising. Y'all feel the heat going? Good. Exhale, come back to the brow. And then push up to all fours. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right, this is where we close that gap if it's too wide between the big toes. And now we'll lift the left leg halfway up. So when you're ready, swing that left foot through. It does not have to come all the way up between the hands. Feel free to use blocks to assist. Feel free to plant the back foot. And just cautiously preparing for triangle. Lifting the arms up. Let's see, turn your torso that way, Nancy. There you go, yeah. Now drop into your triangle pose, Trikonasana. Rounded feet, straight legs, open heart, open hands. Firming here, energy, joy. Flow down to me. And as you exhale, look down. Feel free to bring your hands to the floor or blocks, but away from the back heel. And you're going to do those little pulses. Lifting up on the inhale and sinking down on the exhale. And drop the back knee, the back toes curl. Untuck the back toes, pull up through the pelvic floor, up through the sideways, up through the navel, up through the heart, and fingertips. Exhale, bring the hands down. All right, come back to table. All right, we're gonna move those blocks to the sides. And we're gonna come down to basics. When you come down to a seat, we're gonna do the cat cow from this position. So the feet are open. You're on your sits bones. Your heart's gonna drive through, your throat's gonna open up. As you exhale, you round it back. just stick with this flow for a few rounds. You are creating more of a back bend as you breathe in, and more of that cat stretches and counter when you breathe out. Left leg's going to extend. And your right knee's gonna bend. We're gonna try this. If it doesn't work, you're gonna come back here, okay? Well, let's see if it'll work. If you cross the foot over, and then if you lean to that side so that other heel can draw in, is this possible? Or is this just not gentle? Feels good to you? It's working? Okay, so if it's working, let's stick with it. Yeah. Okay, so this pose that we're getting ready to go into is Ardha Matsyendrasana. And Matsyendra was one of the first yogic sages that went out to spread yoga. And in the Hatha Yoga Pradapika, I didn't know this till I reread it. They attribute Hatha Yoga to Matsyendra. So that's what we're going to work on here. We're going to take the left elbow to the opposite side of that knee, and then lift the hand up. But this mudra means the fingers are kind of together, more of a moonbeam hand, but it's all called Abhaya mudra. It means no fear, fear not. And then circle that right hand behind your back. How is the twist feeling for you?
I think on my side it's okay.
It'll do the other side. You may have to be a little easier on the other side. Good, unwind. All right, we'll do that to the other side. Right leg extends. And again, if that other position doesn't work, you can always be here, okay? Otherwise, step it over, slide it in. Make sure both sit bones have contact. Right elbow to the outside, left hand behind the back. Twist in that direction. All right, we're ready for Siddhasana. Separate the feet, shake out the knees. All right, left foot comes in. Then the right foot comes in. This is the most gentle variation. I love this variation. This is my favorite, actually. All right, second step is to take the front foot and stack it on top of the one that's already closest to you. That may or may not work. If it's too difficult, if it hurts or strains anything, leave it out. Third phase is tucking the toes in between the calves and the thighs. Honestly, I don't know how anybody can sit here in meditation for a long period of time, because this tugs at my knees a little bit. It doesn't hurt, but I can feel it. All right, that's the first one. Separate it out. Now flip the other way. Right foot in, then the left, thank you. Again, this is my favorite. It just feels really nice to me. Or take the front foot and stack it on top of the one that's closest to you. That's the second phase. That doesn't feel bad. And then you want to tuck those toes. You have to reach down underneath that left thigh to pull the right foot up. Push the left foot in. There for Siddhasana. Be really formal with Jnana Mudra. Since we we have all the props, let's use them. Let's bring the blocks into this position. It's not as tall. And this way you're going to be angled back to a deeper degree than versus being here. And I would suggest either the blanket rolled up under the knees or holding the blanket so it's thicker and just placing it over the thighs and tucking it in. That feels really good. And you're lowered this way. And I'm going to dim the lights while we get settled. And I'm going to change the music. Just drop into your body. Enjoy the sweet nature of the breath. Watching it flow in, equally flow out. Mindful of monitoring your thoughts. Detaching as much as you can from them so that they become more dispersed. As your thoughts disperse, you can drop into that still point in between. In that space, finding, exploring freedom and peace that can be here. We're paying attention to the thoughts because there may be an enlightening thought, an epiphany, light bulb moments. If you have one of those, obviously hold on to that, but let go of the rest.
Start to notice the flow of the breath. Deepen. Once and until you enliven the breath, then you can start to move the body in small, gentle ways. Perhaps turning your head side to side, rotating your wrist, or wiggling the fingers. You may want to bend the knees and unruffle that blanket and kind of lean the knees from side to side. Eventually coming up to a seat. Maybe even taking the auspicious pose. Bringing your hands to prayer position in your heart. We all walk away from this practice, feeling more free and at peace in our bodies, hearts, and minds. May we remember the importance of meditation and hang on to those enlightened moments that we have in life. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste. Namaste. So you guys for joining today.